Thank you so much. Welcome to members of our awards committee, Lou Young, Claire Batt. Happy to see you this morning and thank you for being here. And also welcome to those who are viewing virtually. A few notes that I need to mention before we begin. Even though this is virtual, we still have to comply with the requirements of the Open Meeting Acts. Kentucky Board of Education members, you must ensure your video is streaming at all times and you can be seen throughout the duration of the meeting. Members, there are only 3 of us on this committee because we are such a small group. We do not have to mute our microphones, so yay, no muting and unmuting during this time, but be sure that all other devices are silent so that there's no disruption. There will also be a vote. There will be 2 of those during this time. There will be a roll call, and it will be necessary to record those votes. So you know this routine. My name is, and I vote too. All right. First roll call, and we have Joette with us today. Thank you, Joette, for taking care of us today.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Claire Batt.
Claire Batt is here.
Patrice McCreary.
Patrice McCreary, and I'm here.
And Lou Young.
This is Lou Young, and I'm here.
Okay, you have quorum.
All right. We are really fortunate to be a team that gets to look at all of these amazing awards that the board is involved in presenting. And today we're going to be looking at the Kevin C. Brown Strategic Priority Award applications. We've already reviewed those, and we're going to discuss those today. Just as a reminder of this award, let's just review what the topic is. Now, the topics change from year to year, and it's based on the desire of the board. This topic and its corresponding criteria were approved at the board's October meeting. So this is what we have in place. This is what we had in place for determining who this year's award winner would be. This year's strategic award includes the following descriptions. Kevin C. Brown served at the Kentucky Department of Education in various roles from 2004 to 2018. Most recently, Brown served as the Interim Commissioner of Education from December 2019 to September 2020. Brown's time at the department throughout 2020 was marked with significant challenges that called for strategic educational leadership and clear ongoing communication that was forward-thinking, action-oriented, and aimed at advancing efforts to educate, feed, and support Kentucky's 650,000 students, all during a global pandemic. The 2020 award seeks to recognize a person, a group, organization, district, school, or post-secondary institution who, through policy, practice, fundraising, or philanthropy, and despite any challenges, has made it a top priority for the well-being of Kentucky students and to provide them with high-quality educational experiences. The criteria that is used for this award includes significant contributions that lead to improving or sustaining food service delivery, internet availability, innovative technology-based instruction, and or other efforts to support the needs of schools, students, families, and or community members, and demonstrated leadership and measured efforts to meet the academic, social, or emotional needs of students during the time of a pandemic. All right. The committee members were given the candidate's information prior to this meeting. And so we have had an opportunity to go over this. We had requested a scoring guide, which is most helpful, and have come up with some of our top choices. I'm going to say let's start with our top 3. And remember, everything that we are going to do is through a number. We are going to not use any names or any confidential information that would come through, but refer to the candidates by number. strictly. And then let's determine which one of these many wonderful applicants would be deserving of this award. Here's what I found. This is discussion time, so I'll say this is what I found myself thinking. I wish we had a bunch of awards because as I read through these over and over and over, I saw heroic efforts being taken. I did have some rise to the top. So let's start with our top 3 numbers and see if we come to a consensus. Claire.
All right. And I felt the same way. It warms your heart to see so many people who care for our kids and have just gone above and beyond trying to help them and their families. And it just brought me to tears almost. But the top 3 that I had were number 11, number 5, and number 6.
How about you, Lou?
Yes, and agreed. These were, it was really great to see folks take the time to tell the stories about all of the 14 nominees. So thanks to everyone who participated in this and took time to put these names forward. I think Kevin C. Brown would be really pleased with this group of applicants and nominees. Mine differed from Claire in a couple of spots. My number 1 was 7. I had a tied score for the second place between number 5 and number 8. And in third place, the same as Claire, number 6. So we agreed on 5 and 6, Claire, in the number 2 and the number 3 spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I have 7, 5, and 6 in that order.
We were really close. Everybody agreed on 5 and 6.
Exactly. Claire, what was your number 1 was 11?
Well, I actually had a tie between 11 and 5. And so my thinking on 11 was I thought this teacher had really gone above and beyond in terms of helping parents understand how to make learning possible for these kids who are our most needy. And she used a variety of tools to do so and to really accelerate their progress in learning. I thought the specificity of the steps that she went through were really clear. She laid it out in a very clear way that indicates that she was really trying to support kids at home in a way that is not ordinarily done. So I thought that really showed the initiative that one teacher can take in addressing the needs of kids. Now, number 5, but it's a much more limited group of kids, right. And so that to me was the drawback on number 11, that the others really address the needs of a broad number of children. So
more inclusive, right.
Right. It was much more inclusive. Although
I had 11 in my stack of 5.
Right.
I did too.
Down a little bit further.
To me, that was the drawback, that it was really only addressing those needs of that limited number of kids.
Which is important.
Impact.
But there again, that is where she works and what her job is. So, it goes down to that sort of granular level of the one individual person making those efforts.
I think on that particular one, that was the drawback as well on mine. Not I won't say a drawback. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But it was the when looking at the big picture, it made a little bit of difference. Did you have 7? Claire, did you have 7 in your stack?
7, let me go back to it. It was, it wasn't, it was one of my higher ones. It's just I didn't go with that one because I had a hard time determining whether that person was really stepping outside the job that they ordinarily do. And to me, it wasn't really clear from the way the description was written that they were making those efforts to go outside their usual job.
I could see that too.
I couldn't tell that from the writing.
I will say number 5, one thing that impressed me on number 5 was stepping beyond the school system to involve the community. I think that was forward thinking, and that pushed that person, that
Organization.
right, that organization. I'm looking at my notes. Push that organization on up to the top for me too.
And that's what I thought was so striking about that one, was that that was a community-wide effort, and they were bringing books and feeding and involving a community, and so to me that had probably the broadest outreach and impact in a community.
And I think there's some connections that are made forever there.
Right, exactly.
Strengthen the world of education and that community. All right, so I ask you this. 7, we all came up with 5 as a high one.
Correct. And if we assigned a 3-2-1 score to our number 1 spot is 3, number 2 spot is 2, and number 3 spot is 1, then based on all of us having 5 in the number 2 spot, but Claire having it tied for number 1, 5 would actually have more points in the system.
I love the logistics you have in place there.
So that's the quantitative side of me. I think we can make a qualitative argument.
I love it. And it makes absolutely perfect sense. I am totally comfortable with this decision. If you all would like to come to consensus on that, since we have pulled them all up, unless you are feeling very strongly about your number 1 choice.
I absolutely could go with that consensus, but I do feel a little compelled to speak about the number 7 application for a bit. Perhaps, I think they referred to the person as a he. It appeared that he has a regional or statewide impact. Of course, we don't know that from the redacted information in the application. I think Claire's point is perhaps that this is aligned with his job description, but I saw a lot of flavors of heroism in it. It resonated with me, the work that he is doing around racial equity and social emotional learning. So granted, my heartstrings were tweaked with the idea that we have somebody who is there shepherding at a regional or statewide level the support for mental health providers, guidance counselors, classroom teachers, school administrators to support our kiddos in a virtual way. And so I was also looking at folks that crossed those boundaries of internet availability, innovative internet use, and around social emotional learning and food service. And we didn't have anybody, of course, that cut across all 4 of those spectrum ideas, but this one did seem to me to hit on more than one of those spots, including a really strong dose of leadership in the process. So for those reasons, 7 was actually a strong one for me. Having said that, I really appreciated the community organizational efforts of number 5 and the fact that it appears that these are volunteers who are doing this work, and that they were doing the work pre-COVID, but ratcheted up their COVID experience or their work during the COVID pandemic. And the partnerships in 5 with Family Resource Youth Service Centers, the food service department, team, community services, they even mentioned faith-based partnerships. Those things crossed strongly into other areas and leadership for me as well. So while I feel like 7 hit all of Lou Young's notes. I feel really good about 5 as well. So that's my piece.
I agree with you. 7 and 5 were right up there for me, and I have them side by side with my notes, and I'm looking, and they almost matched up for being equal for me, with the exception of bringing in the community. And I felt like that was such a good, I agree. I had 7 first, but their actual scores are almost identical for me. And just looking down at my notes, I think I like pulling that community in to build that. I totally agree with what you said about where our children are right now and the services that need to be provided for them. Yes, 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 yes. And that's something to consider, because this is going to be a spotlight.
Well, and I think the work that number 7 is doing is incredibly powerful. And it was one that I've really struggled with, in a sense, because I sort of wanted to write a whole new award for 7. But we just need to honor this in a different way, because it's almost like he's really pushing the board agenda, right. and which really speaks to me. So that's where I struggle with not scoring it higher than I did, because, yeah.
I'm just looking. Have we had a tie before? And if we do have a tie, how do we handle a tie? Is my question. Do we know of any circumstances? These are 2 such different approaches, but both are critical.
Both very powerful.
And I think that the way that we define strategic priority award, because the award values so many different ways to be strategic in the time of COVID, that it's probably a foregone conclusion that we would end up with these polar opposite but really strong applications. So Joette, do you have any idea if, I can't help but think we can choose to award 2 if we want to, but.
Hey, we're the awards committee.
I think we should just do it. Unless there's some reason we can't.
I would say so this is close.
This is Tony. Oh, Jennifer's on too. I don't know if she can.
Yep, no reason you can't. I think definitely whatever you all decide.
I'm all about the
absence. I'm pretty excited about that.
More is more.
This year, it's been a year. I just had noticed when we were looking back at previous awards, I had noticed that there had been 2 recipients, and I'm pretty sure that's probably because they had come to the same conclusion you all had. So just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility.
Well, I'd say let's do it, because they're both doing wonderful work, and I'm
That thrills me. And
I had 7 scored high as well. It's just not in the top 3. It was like right under, so.
But you feel comfortable with this, Claire?
Oh, for sure.
Yay, team.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think it shows perfectly how the Commonwealth, our educators across the Commonwealth, our communities and everyone involved have come together in a whole broad spectrum of ways to make all of this work for our kids. So this is exciting. Yes. Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. We're going to have a vote on this. So based on the candidates' 2 applications, based on contributions or leadership to meet the needs of students during a time of pandemic, I would ask the committee to entertain a motion to approve candidates number 7 and 5 as the recipients of the 2020 Kevin C. Brown Strategic Priority Award. Is there a motion to approve candidates 7 and 5?
I so move. This is
And-
Claire Bat, and I so move.
And second.
This is Lou Young. I second.
Got it. Okay. Jennifer, Joette, we need roll call.
Okay, Madam Chair. Claire Bat.
This is Claire Bat, and I happily vote yes.
Patrice McCrary.
This is Patrice McCrary, and a major emphatic yes.
And Lou Young.
This is Lou Young, and I vote yes.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for the work that you put into this. You came prepared, as always. You searched through this with very thoughtful, careful consideration, and you used your heart too, and that means a lot to me. As you know, I go from my heart most of the time. So thank you so much for the efforts put in. And at this time, I need I need to go back and do a really quick thank you to Jennifer for coming up with our scoring guides, Joette for sending in all of our information that we needed and for taking us through the meeting today, Todd and his team for the work that they poured into this, for the redacting, so that we could do this in a fair and equitable way. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Tony, for all of you stepping in and doing what we needed to do today. And now, I hope I didn't miss anybody, but thank you all. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
This is Lou Young. So moved.
And this is Claire Bat, I second.
All right, Joette, let's go.
Claire Bat.
This is Claire Bat, yes.
Patrice McCrary.
Patrice McCrary, yes.
And Lou Young.
This is Lou Young. Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, everybody.